Vintage Disney here on Brian's Things That Are Cool. Today we're going to step back 100 years and discuss Walt's early days, from his Laugh-O-Gram pictures up to the creation of Mickey. So let's see what it was like when movies were silent. In early 1920, Walt Disney left his job at the Kansas City Film Ad Company to set out on his own. He produced ads commissioned by local businesses. For instance, Tommy Tucker's tooth was commissioned by local dentist Thomas B. McCrone, and tells the tale of two boys, one who brushes his teeth and one that doesn't. It was successful enough for Thomas McCrone that it had what you may consider the very first Disney sequel, Clara Cleans Her Teeth, starring Walt's own niece, Marjorie Sewell Davis. Much of the work Walt received at this time was commissioned by the local Newman Theater. Thus they were sold as Newman's Laugh-O-Grams. Many of these were Walt's first foray into modernized fairy tales, including Little Red Riding Hood, The Four Musicians of Brennan, Jack and the Beanstalk, and even a very early version of Cinderella. This led Walt to start Laugh-O-Gram Pictures, and while the ads were making Walt money, it wasn't much. Walt felt he needed something big that he could sell. The Alice comedies were created by Walt Disney in 1923 and focused on a live-action girl named Alice and her animated cat friend Julius, who had shown up in earlier Laugh-O-Gram fairy tale adaptations. Together they have various adventures in a cartoon world. It's of interest to animation buffs, as Walt himself was responsible for the animation, where in a few years he'd simply be the boss and idea man of the Walt Disney Studios. Here you can actually see his own talents as an animator, as well as the talents of genius of iWorks. It was at the Laugh-O-Gram studio in Kansas City, Missouri that Walt and of iWorks created the first Alice comedy, Alice's Wonderland. In this first short, which acted as a pilot for the series, Alice, played by Virginia Davis, visits a cartoon studio to witness cartoons being created. Of course, the cartoon characters come to life and interact with Alice. When Alice gets home after a day at the studio, she dreams of being in the cartoon world with all of her cartoon friends. It's all fun until a group of animated lions break free from a cage and chase her. Unfortunately, right after completing the film, the studio went bankrupt and was forced to shut down. Walt raised a little money as a photographer and bought a one-way train ticket to Los Angeles to live with his uncle Robert and his brother Roy. Walt would continue trying to get people to see his short in hopes of obtaining a distribution agreement. Eventually it paid off. Winkler Pictures, run by Margaret Winkler and her fiancé Charles Mintz, took interest in both Walt and the Alice series. Walt came in at the perfect time because Winkler and Mintz had just recently had a very ugly falling out with Pat Sullivan, the creator of Felix the Cat. Walt immediately called Virginia Davis's parents to convince them to bring her from Missouri to Los Angeles to star in the new series. Over the course of the series, 4 actresses played Alice: Virginia Davis, Margie Gay, Dawn O'Day, and Lois Hardwick. After Virginia Davis left the series, she went on to work as a child actress in a variety of smaller roles. At times, she would even work with Walt again, serving a short stint in the Disney Studios ink and paint department, and even auditioning for the role of Snow White. The role eventually went to Adriana Castellati. The third Alice, Dawn O'Day, who only starred in one of the shorts, Alice's Eggplant, would achieve greater success later when she changed her name to Anne Shirley and received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for the 1937 picture Stella Dallas. As we've seen, this has been the story of a young man who, despite all of the obstacles, changed the world forever with his inventiveness and his talent. And of course, that makes for a great movie. In 2015, we got Walt Before Mickey, which was based on the book of the same name. Walt Before Mickey stars Thomas Ian Nichols as Walt, John Heder as Roy, and Armando Gutierrez as of iWorks. The film was not made by Walt Disney Pictures, but by Vision Films, which had the blessing of the Walt Disney Company. If you're looking for a film that perfectly captures the American can-do spirit, I highly recommend Walt Before Mickey. In 1927, after 57 films in the series, Walt and his #1 animator of iWorks decided to end the Alice comedy series due to cost and went in search of something new. At the same time, Universal Pictures was looking for a cartoon character of its own. After being asked to create a new character to sell to Universal, Walt and of iWorks responded with the creation of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. After a failed business negotiation concerning the profits on Oswald, which resulted in Walt losing most of his animators to Universal, a defeated Walt decided to let Universal continue the character without him and set out to make a new series. That new character's name was Mickey Mouse. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my look back at Walt's early years. Walt always said it all started with a mouse, but I think we can also thank a little girl named Alice and her cartoon friends. I'm Brian, and I'll see you next time.